Hi, this is Dr. Jill Powers, and I haven't made one of these videos in quite a while, several months as a matter of fact. And we had the holidays, and then after that I was struggling with some illness, but I thought I would try to put out something. Now that I've got my new gaming computer, my Asus TUF Gaming A15, I can get a little bit better resolution and hopefully do some more, including doing some gaming also, uh, streaming my games. So I'll be doing some live things very soon, but not quite yet. I just wanted to start off by making this video to begin with as a test. But turned out my husband had bought the streaming for Disney Plus and Hulu, and he neglected to mention that to me, and I could have been watching it along with other people who have been reviewing. So I thought I'd start off with one on Daredevil, Born Again, um, and I only got through one episode of this. I don't want to watch anymore. I just don't. First of all, comics are not really my genre of specialty. Although I will say that comics don't necessarily lend themselves so well to making either movies or series about them. And you can't make a series like it's a movie, and you can't make a movie like it's a series. The only series that I can think of that was really successful that way was back in 1994. The Stephen King's The Stand did a real good job of carrying from one point to the next and making it like a very long movie. Okay, so but that's Stephen King. Okay. I find that most of the writers in Hollywood now just do not have that kind of writing skill. And why is that? Why do they seem to have so many trouble, so much problems with it? Well, um, I'll try to examine this a little bit, but we need to begin with some basic terminology. First of all, just to let you know, I'm a normie when it comes to comics. I'm not going to be one of those people who's a big fan and has followed it for years and has read the comics. I haven't done any of that. I concentrate on classic literature basically, and structure of why there are certain things that work and certain things that don't. And it's the things that work that we're really interested in doing reviews for. The rest of them, well, frankly, they're garbage. Are you okay, Mr. Whiskers? Yes, my little puppy, a Chihuahua. Well, he's not really a puppy, but anyway, I have 3 dogs. Oh, what's the matter, baby? Anyway, um, some basic issues they're just writer issues, beginning writing. So let's start off with the reporter's method. And what does that mean? That means establishment of who, what, when, where, why, and how. Because I felt like this series did not get off to a good start here, and I think primarily they're relying on an attachment to the Netflix series that was 7 years ago. Folks, that's a long time between, one comics and another. I mean, and frankly, we talk so much in the chat rooms and the reviews about these comics without understanding they're comics, okay? They're not novels. They're certainly not sagas of the kind that Lord of the Rings is. And, when they went to make Rings of Power, that should be enough indication to you as to why they failed. They simply don't establish the connection between the original source material. They're not well adapted to them. Okay? Let's talk about the brevity of comics. I mean, you know, they began as animation. Now they try to make them into live versions, and they're just not done very well as a result. As a newbie to this series, I couldn't get a clear sense of much of anything. If you've seen it before, if you've read the comics, yeah, you're going to have some sense of who you're looking at. But if they don't establish that either through dialogue or through the action itself, then you're left scratching your head, as I was. And so this is not something that general audiences are going to look at and understand because they're not going to have followed them. Okay, either in the original comics, which are already short. Okay, if you're a director like Roger Corman, you can get away with adapting something that is extremely short. Let's say like The Pit and the Pendulum. Okay, the Edgar Allan Poe short stories are sometimes extremely short, and they normally wouldn't lend themselves if you just wrote them the way that he wrote them. Instead, Corman would take these very short uh, stories, especially like the Pit and the Pendulum, which is like, you know, just a few pages. Okay, it's not very long at all, and wrap his own story in it. This is good storytelling. Taking established stories, because there's rarely going to be anything new out there. I don't care if you set it in outer space, if you set it here on Earth. It is about the human characters, or at least now that in the age of AI and robots and all of our technology, the humanoid. If you were talking about companion, you would be talking about sentient robots who um, they don't start off sentient, but they gain sentience, and that is part of what makes that particular show worth watching. It gives a sense of drama, of journey, the hero's journey. Who was the original hero's story? Well, the first one was Gilgamesh, but the one that comes most readily to mind in our Western culture is the Odyssey, and you already have a backstory there. I found no explanation of backstory. You know, showing friends in a bar, I don't know who these people are coming in, and their dialogue is pretty boring. There's nothing remarkable about it. Oh, yeah, you know, the some of the characters, I'm not familiar with them, so I don't know what they do. I don't know what their function is. I don't know who are superheroes and who are just friends hanging out, and other people who are just hanging around the bar. You don't get a real good sense of what they are there for. So who, what, when, and where um, isn't clearly established. And these friends walk outside and they're suddenly attacked by some other superhero, which you don't know. Obviously, he's got superpowers, but you don't know why he's attacking. Um, it's very. It goes from dead boring to being very exciting, but all the CGI fighting, it's just it's not very realistic. So I found verisimilitude to be a problem here. You know, Samuel Taylor Coleridge described uh, in Biographia Literaria that um, concerning suspension of disbelief. And I just couldn't believe this character of Daredevil at all. I mean, he's a blind lawyer. Okay, we get the fact he's a blind lawyer, but suddenly he has this superpower. He has this super mask that makes him super, and you know, um, and we have another character who has a magic medallion, and they're just they're kind of silly conventions. They're motifs so that I'm not sure that they really work all that well. And we're also talking about a comic book that was not like Superman or Batman. And I will tell you one thing about the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson is their character arcs are established very quickly. They don't they show them through the action of the characters. So when Batman, who's growing up, he is going with his parents to the theater. They're coming out and they're robbed, and his parents are robbed and killed in front of him. And that's when, as he grows up, he inherits all their money. He's a billionaire, and he that's how he is able to establish himself as Batman, as a caped avenger, okay, caped crusader, or as he's called. You also get a sense of how the Joker's character is also established. He has his own kind of trauma to deal with, and becoming the Joker. Oh, dog, it's okay. Anyway, so who, what, when, where, how, and why? Because. It is the because that carries forward the action and what's going on. We also need to get a sense of definition. How do we define these characters? What do they do? Who are they? Well, that's kind of slow, and then we have the fight scene that is very fast, but again, at the end of this, you don't get a sense of why. Why is he being attacked? He puts on this mask and he becomes again a caped avenger. Well, not exactly caped, but I mean, you know what I mean. A mask avenger, Daredevil, and I guess it gives him the ability to see. He doesn't need his cane when he's got the mask on, I guess. Okay, I don't know. I don't know this. And I would be a general audience. You're pitiful. Yes, you are. Little guy's been sick. Okay. But anyway, so in the first part of this, I just found that most of the time is just really, really boring. Even the parts with Fisk and his, I guess you could call a strange wife. They're good enough actors, I think. I think they could pull it off if they had some decent writing, but it just doesn't seem to me that they clearly established this. And comics, they're not the Odyssey. The Odyssey has the backstory of the Iliad that came before it, about the struggle of the Trojan War between Troy and the Atreides, the Greeks. And the whole reason why is because of either the abduction or what you would call rape of the queen of Helen. This is the whole reason for this war, that they war for 10 years, and then you come into the Odyssey. Odysseus he's provided the solution. He's provided the solution with the Trojan horse in defeating Troy, and of course, we'll connect that later with Aeneas is the son of King Priam. That he is that is established as the next one written by Virgil instead of Homer. So so there is a continuation there, and you get a sense of why the characters act the way that they do. That you can establish that. But anyway, I don't get a sense of this at all with this, and they need to follow a traditional dramatic structure of some kind that can be associated either with the series. If they're going to make a series, make a series. If you're going to make a movie, make a movie. But don't try to impose one structure on another, because it's just not working very well. And particularly with the Marvel and DC comics. So anyway, they're going to have to get some decent writers, or else they're going to continue to suffer these failures. And I'm sorry, but the audience, I think, has become just so jaded now that it's hard for us to even care about, why should I care? Everybody's got 5-second attention spans now. Nobody can actually read novels. Most college students coming into college now are not at 12th grade level of reading and writing. So, what could I have expected when I was a college professor with these students, and why they kept coming in? And I knew we were going to have trouble whenever I had a student who came in and asked me if I was going to provide notes. I said, you're the one who provides notes. I lecture. we, we read, we write, we discuss. And, beyond that, I can't, if you're not even willing to read the text, how am I supposed to? What good would it do for me to provide you with notes, because you won't read those either? If you can't read a 15-page syllabus, much less a short story, and trying to read between the lines and do everything. But be that as it may, these are not novels, and these are not sagas. This is a comic book, and you have to remember that when going in to see it. So I just found it, as a result, boring. The chatter is just chatter. It's not particularly telling me a whole lot about what's going on. The action doesn't tell me anything either. That's a problem. So there's also a lack of continuity. You don't get a clear sense of what had happened before in the history of these characters. So there has to be some revelation beyond just the. And I found it really depressing. Are you depressed? Does it depress you, little dog? Yes. A lack of continuity between the old series and the new. I and other people, other reviewers, they have said this, and I take their word for it. I'm not going to go back and watch it, because what's the point? I mean, it's not something that I really want to do. So don't set series up as movies, first of all. Okay. The dialogue did not clearly expose what was going on with the characters. And yes, places can be characters too. If are we talking about Gotham City? Are we talking about Metropolis? Again, no clear sense. We are looking at Punisher. Okay, the White Tiger, who the actor, I understand, died in the middle of filming this series. So there was a problem. That's a real big problem when you're trying to establish character right, you actually have an actor who dies. Okay, but and have my sympathy. His family has my sympathy, but it's just a problem. So you want you also want to have a clear sense of definition, division, the ability to compare and contrast what has happened in the past, the history of the character, why we should care about them, why should I empathize with them. You should also have a sense of pathos. It should be cathartic. It should inspire pity and fear for these characters. He's a blind lawyer. I've dated lawyers before, and most of the time they're not that interesting. I'm, I'm sorry. I thought seriously about becoming a lawyer, and you know, maybe I should have, probably should have. I'd be able to sue some people right now. But be that as it may, this lawyer in particular, we have these courtroom scenes, and I'm just going, I don't, I don't get it. I still don't get it. I mean, what's significant about him? He's a lawyer. Okay, he's a blind lawyer, but he's also a superhero. But he also drops his mask. Now, why does he drop the mask? Not really sure. Not really sure why he does that. Um, I just couldn't get a sense of it. So anyway, Disney has a real problem with this as well, and we can see from the series, the Star Wars, the drops from Star Wars, the Acolyte was utter garbage. Sorry, you guys. That no one wants to watch that. It's again the actors is one actress playing two roles, twins. That one is good and one is evil. But can you really tell which is which? I mean, come on, they're both pretty silly. But anyway, I was talking about the 1989 Batman, but you get a real sense very quickly of why these characters became the way they do, and that is what you have to do with with comics is clear establishment very quickly. You get that with Superman, you get that with Batman, you get that with Wonder Woman. She's an Amazon. Um, she has special powers, her magic lasso, her invisible plane, all of that. So all of that is clearly established in those classic comics. I'm not sure that this was just the best vehicle to do this anyway. So I looked at the villain characters, these characters of the villains, Fisk and his estranged wife. Why has it been all this time? Oh, he was in the hospital, and she's been running things ever since, and it's been a long time, and obviously it's a strained relationship. But do I feel sorry for him like I do Tony Soprano? No, I don't. There's a comparison for you. The Sopranos as a successful series, and why the relationship with him and Dr. Melfi, you get an immediate sense that she's a great psychiatrist, and the scenes and the action and what goes on and how it affects him. This is all interwoven in such a masterful way, and it's like, I'm sorry, but it's like night and day. Y- y- with The Sopranos, it pulls you in, and this did not pull me in. Okay, so that being said, and to be fair, there are things also besides comparison of the characters, and as some people have asserted, even things can be characters, but you know the when things are more interesting than the people, then you have to wonder why that is. Okay, but anyway, we're talking about The Sopranos, but that action pulls you in. Um, the element of show, don't tell. This is not a college essay, okay? In novels, as in film, it is action, not what people just say, that really makes a difference. Makes a difference in how people are perceiving it, and how much you can read between the lines. And see, let's take a story like The Shining, for example. Now, Shining, standing on its own, is a really good novel, but Stanley Kubrick came in and he basically made it more into a ghost story, where you get the sense that it's not just a ghost story. There's one clue, and you have to be looking for it, and that is in the portrait at the very end, where he shows Jack in the ballroom, and that his ghoulie friends, um, posing for for this ball as caretaker of the Overlook Hotel. And with that, there is a pose, and there is a hand extended. He, he has one hand extended like this, and you think, I didn't think about this, but that is Baphomet. It isn't just a ghostly hotel. These are not these these malicious ghosts are more than ghosts. They're demons. That's the indication that this is hotel hell. So anyway, but see, that's Kubrick. He establishes with cinematography the mood, the tone, the atmosphere is being foreboding, is uncanny. And finally, with that one hint, we get not just a sense that these are ghosts, but they're ghosts. The whole place is demon infested. Okay. I don't know what to tell you guys. Uh, if you like it and enjoy it, fine, great, good for you. I, I I'm not going to continue watching it. It's pointless. Anyway, I'm going to go tend to my little dog. Um, yeah, had a seizure a couple of months ago, and been having to tend to the little guy. He's about 10 years old. He was when we got him. He wasn't exactly a teacup. He's very small, and one of those kind of little chihuahuas that you can carry around in your purse if you want to. And people go, "Oh yes, I love it. I love him, the little dog." Yeah, he's a cute little guy, but he is clearly probably hungry, and I need to go feed him. So anyway, I will wrap that up for today. This will be my close for today. Um, I don't recommend it myself. Not to normies anyway. To fans, yeah, you would probably enjoy it. Maybe not as much as like Wolverine or Deadpool or certainly not Superman or Batman, but or even Wonder Woman for that matter. But I will say this, you know, ignore me if you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But I just want to give my 2 cents without spoiling too much about it to say, guys, clean up your act. Get, you know, go back to the formula. You guys have formulas. Do you remember you had formulas? Okay. Anyway, so that's it. And I'm signing off now. And see you around like a record. Bye.